Okay, so first you have to import this head rotation subgraph, or just created by copying what I have here. This basically detects whether the head is rotated left or right, which will be helpful in our filter. So then we're going to set a variable called angle threshold, because that's the parameter that this subgraph accepts. And that's going to basically show you how far the head has to be turned in order to have the filter activate. Okay, so here I'm basically getting the face rotation. You first have to delete the face binding, then grab the get rotation, and then add the face binding once again. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Cool, so now you can see the numbers showing up because it's able to tell what the rotation of the head is. Okay, so here I'm just adding the planes that are going to have the questions and the people or the quiz questions, whatever your filter is going to be about. Okay, so now that you've added your planes, you're going to just position them where you want them to be. So I just have it at -8 and 17, and for the other one it's going to be at +8 and 17. Then the question, you can just have it a little bit higher. There we go. So now we need to change the material of our question. We're going to add an unlit material. So I had already added one, and I set the texture to my question texture, and I set the blend mode to alpha test. So now when I change the question material to unlit, it's going to appear. So that's my effect demo texture. So that will be replaced with whatever question you have. So here I'm creating materials for the first and second plane. We need to have different materials so that we can set the textures randomly. So here I'm selecting one of the textures to be the default texture for the first and second plane, but you also don't need to necessarily do that. This is just the easiest way that I found it. So every time you open the filter, it's going to have the same two characters or questions. Now that we have our planes, we have to add the conditions for what happens when we turn our head left or right. Here I'm adding an update node to the if statement so that it can register when the head is rotated. For the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to say that if the head turns left or right, the scale of the plane is going to increase. So that's the only animation I'm going to do in this example. Here I added a transit by time, and this is going to help us with the animation. So what I wanted to do is change the scale, so I'm gonna get the scale of the first plane, and I'll connect it to the from component. The number you enter in the 2 will be what the end scale will look like. And so the duration is going to be how long it's going to take for this to occur. So as you can see, the scale persists after the animation. So what we want to do is set it back to the original size after the animation ends. So that's what we're going to do here. You can duplicate a node by pressing Command D. So that's a shortcut. And now when we tilt our head, it's going to go back to the original size after it grows for 1 second. So you can add more animations by following this similar method. I'm just going to stick with this for now and just copy it for the right side. So I changed all of the nodes to be corresponding to the second plane. Now we just want to add the randomization of the planes. So we want the texture of our plane to change whenever we tilt our head. So if we tilt our head left, then we want the right plane to change. So I added the second plane's texture. We're going to add a random node so that it can generate a random number. And we're going to leave the minimum to be 0 and the maximum to be 3.9. So I set it to be 3.9 because once you floor it, it's going to leave you with either the numbers 0, 1, 2, or 3. Once the floor node is added, we can connect that to a select and have the select be a texture 2D. So as you can see, the indexes align with the textures. So we only have 4 textures, so that's why I have the max to be 3.9 because we only need 0, 1, 2, and 3. There's probably better ways to do this, but this is just what I found to be easiest. So now you can connect this to the set texture, and also you can turn this into a subgraph. Now all you need to do is duplicate this for the right side. And connect the output to the set texture value.